Hello, Driving Intelligence community. This video is for my Cadillac CTS and CTS-v subscribers and viewers. I've got my battery out doing some battery maintenance, and I thought, why not check the cabin air filter? It's been some time since I've looked at it. It's behind this panel. So in this video, I'm going to yank it out and see what it looks like. Stay tuned. The first step in this process is to remove the weather stripping or pull it back far enough so you get it away from the clip, this top clip, and there's 4 screws that need to be removed. Screws removed, you can simply just lift up on this panel, but you're going to have to finagle it around the back of the hood because it hooks around the hinge area. Here you see a better view of this panel I just removed that covers the cabin air filter. Here's the cutout for the hood hinge, and in this section here goes underneath this fender. This is all weather stripping, and it's to direct all the water and debris down properly. It's going to make it a little difficult to get back in, and I don't think you necessarily need to pull this thing out completely in order to replace the filter, but for me, there's a lot of dust and debris in there. I want to get that out before I remove the cabin air filter so it doesn't enter the HVAC system. In order to make sure I get all of the debris out, I'm going to use an old toothbrush to really clean all this dust off and then hit it with the vacuum. You can see that there's a lot sitting on these ledges that that otherwise would probably break loose and fall down into the filter area, and that's what the filter's for, is to protect your HVAC system, but also, you know, keep all these contaminants outside the inside of your vehicle. It's actually pretty nasty. Everything's cleaned, got all the dust out. Now, this is a cover right here, and there are clips on each side. It's a little difficult to show this on the camera, but you'll pull up a clip from the outside of it. I'll show you the cover after I get it out. All right, I made that more difficult than it should have been, but obviously it sits like this. Pull it up this way and it'll slide out. Here you can see the clips. You got to pull that little tab outward for the cover to get the cover up and out. Here's the filter, and you can see the directional error obviously pointing in toward the cabin. And there's still a lot of dirt. I got to clean that off as well after I get this filter out. But you'll just pull the filter straight out, and it's not an easy process. You have to do some bending of the filter to get it out of here. See, the hood is slightly in the way, and there we go. As I separate the flutes, you can see how dirty it is. There's a lot of debris in here, so I'm going to go ahead and order a new one. I found a Fram for a pretty cheap price. I'll link below. I got the new filter, but as usual, I'm going to take the extra step and do what I did to this side of the cowling here. I cleaned this up and treated it to make it look better, protect it. I'm going to take that side off so they match, and then I'll put everything back together. The passenger side wiper arm has to come off in order to get this cowl off. It's a simple process of taking this cap off. I just put my fingernail underneath there, and then that nut is removed with the 15mm socket. You don't need to remove the cap and nut on that side because this will just slide out. There's a slot for the wiper arm on the far side, the driver's side. Turns out that wiper blade's too tight to get off with my hands just pulling it, so I'm going to use a small gear puller and yank it off. As I was trying to pull it out in this direction, it turns out there's a little nut here. There was a little resistance, so I didn't want to force it. 10mm nut that's holding this thing against the fender well. After washing, I'm letting all this dry, and now I'm going to install this Fram cabin filter. It's got baking soda to really clean up the air as it goes in. I'll link that below. And it goes in the same way I showed you going out. It's a little bit of a tough push just because of the angle of the hood. Here you see the direction of the airflow, and that's toward the cabin, so it's got to be flipped around. Just to give you a show of what you've got to accomplish here, the filter actually goes in at an angle with the top side of the filter facing toward the engine or the front of the vehicle, and the bottom side leaning toward the back or pointing toward the back at a slight angle. And now to slightly bend it to get it into its slot. Now that the filter's in, I'm going to install the top cap. The wide flange goes toward the front. So we're just going to slide this down. It falls pretty much into place. but you got to push it on the passenger side because this foam is in the way, so you have to push it past the foam to get it in there. Once you get it past the foam, it just snaps in place. There's a little bit of compression on the filter, and you're sealed. Reassembly begins with installing the cowls, which are cleaned and restored. Now that's a pretty engine, especially with all that cleaned up. Let's fire this baby up.